the studio.
Right.
And that was entertaining. Yeah.
I never went because I worked Wednesday nights until 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I was his second choice. Do you want me to get that for you? I got Carol's.
Welcome, everybody, to the Two-Way Street Coffee House. Woohoo! My name is Jennifer, and I am so glad that you've come out to join us tonight. It's going to be a fantastic show. We've had live music in this room every Friday night for almost 55 years. Yeah. So this room is fantastic. There's been so many wonderful musicians that have come through and played on the stage, so we're very happy that you've chosen to be part of that tradition. It is a listening room, so we do ask that you keep your conversations to a minimum, and by a minimum, I mean not at all. Yes, we like to pay attention to our wonderful performers, and it makes for just a magical evening of being immersed in the songwriter and the musician's music. So we appreciate that. And if you could also turn off your cell phones, please. That also proves to be very awkward when it's a very quiet room and your cell phone goes off. So thank you very much for doing that. Without further ado, I would love to introduce Jason Wilbur. We're so pleased to have him. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, well, it's good to be with you. I'm facing this way because of the live stream, but I'll also look this way sometimes, and sometimes this way. You'll just see. I'll be just looking all different ways. Well, it's really nice to be with you tonight. Thanks for coming to spend your Friday night with us. And it's nice to be here at the Two-Way Street. I thought I had been here a long time ago, but actually I don't think I have. Maybe this might be my first time. I've certainly heard of it for many, many years. And I love your little community here, Downers Grove. And I think that's all I have for now. Play some music. This first one's called Time Traveler. I was there at the dawn of the here and the now, when I opened my eyes and cried. Oh, and throughout the years, all of my fears have come true 1,000 times. Time traveler, I'm a time traveler. Well, over and over I've seen them fall down, the empires, the mountains, the men. Oh, and nothing much changes, they just rearrange it and build it back up again. Time traveler, I'm a time traveler. I am rolling so slowly, my one wish is only to be somewhere else in the end. Well, now maybe you're mystified, I would be too. And in fact, I already am. When anyone's telling you something fantastic, it's almost always a sham. Time traveler, I'm a time traveler. It's mighty perplexing when everything's sideways, surprising it ever goes right. Oh, it's easy to see that we mostly agree, but all we ever do is fight. Time traveler, I'm a time traveler. Time traveler, I'm a time. Thank you. have a little mint tea here. What are you having? That sounds adventurous. All right. Is there coffee here? Do people? Is there a coffee at the coffee house? All right. I mean, I'm not drinking it this time of night, but I love tea. All right. Well, I'm from the Midwest, like many of you probably are, and I was born over in Indiana, northern Indiana. Eventually, I moved down to southern Indiana, and lived there my whole life. And so, I guess I don't have to tell you much about that. You probably know what it's like from Bloomington. That's right. Right. Have you been there?
I went to school there
Nice.
20 years ago.
All right. Well, it hasn't changed that much. Welcome. Welcome, folks. I would tell you where there's a seat, but I don't know anything about it. So we're glad you could join us, so thanks for coming. Anyway, this is, you probably identify with this one. There might be some familiar scenes in this one. It's called Heaven. I see a long fence road and a house I know and a worn-out path down a long dusty road. I'm moving real slow. I don't hear a sound. Is it finally time to lay my body down? I can smell the cooking half a mile away. I can see the yard where the children play. I hear a quiet voice beside me say, forget the sadness you felt on Judgment Day. But I don't see any harp strumming angels. Oh, no golden trumpet horns begin to play. It's just an old farmhouse on a country way, and I feel all my burdens drift away. I walk up through the yard under big shade trees. There's two old men on a wide porch swing. I see a woman waving through the front screen door. Oh, and I realize I've known them all before. But I don't see any harp strumming angels, and no golden trumpet horns begin to play. Just an old farmhouse on a country way, and I feel all my burdens drift away. Cornbread's hot and the iced tea's cold. I haven't felt this free since I was 10 years old. And we've got fried chicken and apple pie. Oh, I never would have guessed that heaven would look so fine. And I don't need any harp strumming angels. No golden trumpet horns have to play. Just an old farmhouse on a country way is all I need to take my pain away. Oh, I never would have guessed that heaven would look this way. All right, heaven. So how many people come here every Friday night? Who's been here all 5,500 nights, or however many that would be? Nobody? Every night this year, every Friday this year. Who's been here? All right, come on, guys. Every Friday this week. Who's been here every Friday this week? Not even some people haven't even been here every Friday this week. Okay. Well, if you're a songwriter, it's a good idea to write a song about your wife. And if you don't know that, you'll find out. It won't be long. So this is a song I wrote for my wife of 26 years we've been married. And fortunately, she likes this. I wrote it a long time ago. It would have been a long 26 years if she didn't like it. So this one's called In Her Veins. Flowers don't grow unless she says they can. The sun won't rise until she waves a hand. Electricity is in her veins, and it pulls at me like that. And when I walk away, I walk right back. Horses and castles and stories of distant lands, moving her lips and the fingers on her hands, in hypnotic fascination. Oh, I watch the pendulum swing. Soon the very air begins to sing. So I attend her simple evening song. A single chair inside a concert hall, and the music falls like rain and washes my soul clean. Exhausted and my eyes can only sleep. Well, I've made 15 miles since daybreak. After 14 nights planning escape, and I'll be far away and forget her very soon. No more than the tide escapes the moon. There's a fire in her veins, and it burns with my name. And so I go like a moth into the flame. In Her Veins. Well, you're a very polite audience. That's nice. It's a good quality politeness. Going off to find something, and I don't care where, and I don't care what, There's a wild voice, it's calling me, it's off somewhere that I can't see, Oh, somebody didn't do it, really? Oh, it's such a beautiful song. It was so heartfelt. I'm crushed. No, that's okay. Is it off now? We don't have to identify yourself. Just if it's off now, go, yes, I turned it off. We've all done it. We've all done it. It's okay. It's really good. It's really good. I really like the song, so I actually don't mind playing that first part again. I'm going to tell you a funny story. So, one of my favorite people I've met over the years is an American treasure, Ramblin' Jack Elliott. And you probably are all familiar with him. You know, became well known in the Greenwich Village folk scene in the early 60s. But he has just an amazing, larger-than-life kind of biography. He literally ran off with the circus when he was about 16 or 17 years old and learned to, rope horses and do all kinds of cowboy stuff. And he always wears a cowboy hat and a cowboy shirt, and he's kind of bow-legged, and he's got boots, and he always looks like he just come in from off the back 40, and got off a horse. And I just love him. He said, John Prine and he were great buddies, and so Jack lived out in Northern California, and whenever we were out there, he would almost always be at the show. If he wasn't opening for us, he'd be backstage hanging around. But one night we played Folsom, California, where the prison is. It's a real place. And so we played there at a little theater, and Jack was opening the show, and one of my favorite songs of his is the song called South Coast. And it's a really long story ballad, in this minor key about this Spanish guy who marries this woman and takes her out to the wild South Coast, and it's just incredible. And he's like, it is long, too. It's like 6 minutes long, this song. And he's about halfway through, and he's just doing the whole thing, and it's just beautiful. And two people come in the theater, these two empty seats right in front row center, and they start, excusing me their way in, like halfway through South Coast, and Jack is watching him, and he's singing, he's halfway through this incredible song, and they get to me, and he stops, and he goes, well, welcome, glad you could join us. I was just playing this song, South Coast, and I'll start over. And so he starts the whole song over. He plays the first, 4 or 5 verses of the 10-verse song. And about halfway through, he stops, and he looks at those people again, and he goes, and that's where you came in. And then he just went on to the next song. He never finished it. So. But when I first got to know Jack, and I saw, just his whole vibe, I knew he had to be from Oklahoma or West Texas or somewhere. And when I was talking to him, I said, Jack, God, where are you from originally? And he looked around and he goes, Brooklyn, New York. He goes, shh, national secret. So anyway, no biggie on the phone. Glad to have you. And I wasn't halfway through a 10-minute song, so I wouldn't have stopped, actually. I just would have kept going. I mean, it's not going to be as good this time. I could already tell. But I'm going off to find something, and I don't care where, and I don't care what, There's a wild voice that's calling me, it's off somewhere that I can't see, You're not alone. You're not the only one. Who knows it's there? Oh, something somewhere. something somewhere. You can feel it on a quiet walk when you see the birds sail high aloft, Or in the sleepy stars at night when the air is crisp and your soul gets light, You're not alone. You're not the only one who knows it's there. Oh, something somewhere. Something somewhere, yeah. Something somewhere. I felt it in a book one time when I thought the author read my mind, And you can see it up in paintings too, when the lines and the colors take a certain hue, You're not alone. You're not the only one who knows it's there. Oh, something somewhere. Something somewhere, yeah. Something somewhere. I'm going off to find something, and I don't care where, and I don't care what, Thank you. All right. Well, I don't know if you've heard about AI. It's been in the news lately. About 10 years ago, I got this idea that I was going to write. I felt like I saw this gap. I don't know if it's an opportunity gap, but that's more like for employment, isn't it? I think this was not an opportunity gap. I don't think it was an opportunity. It was just an opportunity to write some songs. I felt like there was sort of a clamoring, a cry out, a dearth. Anyone? A dearth? Help me out here. I'm drowning. No. There's not enough folk songs with science fiction themes. That was what I thought I was detecting in the zeitgeist, right? And so I thought, well, I could do that. And so I started, thinking about what science fiction-y kind of folk songs would I write. And so I started thinking about AI. I was ahead of my time. This is like 10 years ago. So I knew that, Ray Bradbury. I have Chicago in my mind today. So the great Ray Bradbury, who I love dearly, but that's not who I'm talking about. Although he is a science fiction writer, so certainly, there's some influence probably. But I was thinking of Ray Kurzweil, the guy who invented the Kurzweil keyboard. And his actual real job is that he's a futurist, and he works at Apple as a futurist. Seems like a pretty good job, doesn't it? And he coined the term. He didn't actually coin this term, but he popularized this term about 30-some years ago, the singularity. And the singularity is this, the idea is that the singularity is this point at which artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence. And back then it was much more speculative when people started using this term. But now, in recent years, people are saying, oh, well, artificial intelligence has already surpassed human intelligence. Other people say, oh, it's decades away. Other people say, no way, artificial intelligence is never going to surpass human intelligence. And, I don't know what your experience is like, but some people I meet, I think, yeah, we're probably there with this guy, But I started thinking about that, and I thought that would make a good topic for a song. And so this song's called The Singularity. And I'll tell you more about it as it goes. I feel like I'm freaking out from all this information, drowning in my data and these suffocating calculations. Can't you see that artificial intelligence is rising to power? I guess the risk is statistically irrelevant in kilowatt hours, but I think it's just begun. Maybe now's the time to run, because the day will finally come when we cross over. When this mystery is solved, we can evolve into another dimension, where reality and rituals all represent a form of ascension. In a lifetime lived somewhere beyond intention, you can be who you were back before they started paying attention. When we're all up there in the cloud, floating and drifting around, suffering without a soul, a sound, or a reason. Free, it's all I ever wanted to be. Free, it's all I ever wanted to be. Cappuccino? Nice. This is a real coffee house, all right. I thought he just had drip back there, so nice. That's a good one. My second set's more of a folk metal set, so it will be a little, you won't hear as much of that set, so. It doesn't bother me. It's kind of nice, isn't it? It's sort of like a fan or distant train or highway or something. So you might have gathered by this time in the song that I don't really know anything about AI, and I was just sort of trying for some rhymes that sounded technical. So I'd kind of run out of those by this point in the song, and I decided, sometimes I say I pulled out my Brian Eno Oblique Strategies deck and shuffled it and pulled out a card, but I don't actually have a Brian Eno Oblique Strategies deck, but if you're playing for hipsters, that kind of impresses them, so. But anyway, so I went Hollywood with this last verse. I went for the alien invasion, and yeah, here it comes. I guess I ruined the surprise though, so. Let's see. Will someone let it slip that the mothership is on the horizon? But it's cloaked in a sedative fog that will quell the uprising. If you can upload your mind to time, you will escape forever. Because a soul with 1 billion connections can never be severed. Okay, how long does that thing run? Because usually a cappuccino's just like... I'm just curious. I mean, it's... Oh, okay, all right. When we're all up here in the cloud, floating and drifting around, suffering without a soul, a sound, or a reason. Free, it's all I ever wanted to be. Free, The Singularity. Thank you. All right. Oh, sure, now it's done. Okay, I could tell you really like the folk science fiction themes, so I'll do another one. And this one is okay, there's a little out of tune here. Let me fix this. I've been reading that series of books, The Expanse. Anyone read this? The Expanse. E-X-P-A-N-S-E. No? Okay. It's good to bond on common. Anyway, this isn't about The Expanse, so you don't have to have read The Expanse. But it's also set in space, as is this song, which is called Living in Space. Living in space ain't like it was supposed to be. I miss my dog, I miss my family, well, I miss home. Will they even remember me? I miss the past, but I'll be traveling back. And out here in the dark, we work long hours, building God knows what for the superpowers. And when I look back on our little blue-green world and how we blew it up and screwed it up, took it all for granted like a spoiled kid, and now we live to regret it. Living in space, it's pretty hard to sleep. I miss my bed, and I miss gravity. I'm just a bit of dust floating in the atmosphere, wide awake and full of fear. Well, out here in the dark, we work long hours, building God knows what for the superpowers. And when I look back on our little blue-green world and how we blew it up and screwed it up and took it all for granted like a spoiled kid, and now we live to regret it. Some nights I dream, thank you, about a cookout, laughing friends, kids running around. But I'm living in space while we build this mystery, a mighty machine to take back history. And out here in the dark, we work long hours, building God knows what for the superpowers. And when I look back on our little blue-green world, and how we blew it up, screwed it up, and took it all for granted like a spoiled kid, now we live to regret it. Living in Space. Thank you. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, yes, but what about cryptids? Right? How can you write a science fiction themed folk record if you're not going to write about cryptids, young man? Well, I thought of that, so that's what this one is about. The most famous well, Loch Ness Monster might be the most famous cryptid, but this is the most famous North American cryptid. This one's called The Disappearance of Bigfoot. Bigfoot lives way up north, and trees so thick you can't see the forest. No TV, no internet, where the digital age ain't ruined things yet. A Bigfoot sleeps in the undergrowth. Don't drive a car, don't burn no coal. Lives on the land, don't turn to soil. She don't leave no dents, just a few footprints. Well, she's heard crazy tales from the hawk and the deer about a nasty little creature not far from here, almost bald with tiny feet that'll kill the bear and just leave the meat. But that little foot's just a backwoods myth, something to scare baby squirrels with. There ain't no creature would be so dumb and selfish. Bigfoot sleeps in the undergrowth. Don't drive a car, don't burn no coal. Lives on the land, don't turn the soil. But she don't leave no dents, just a few footprints. Late one night as she lay on her back, Bigfoot had a vision so vivid and black. Little foot swung aside, rough and wide, destroying every last damn thing he could find. Next day, Bigfoot drinks from the stream, smells something foul on the morning breeze. She looks down and can't believe what she sees. A little footprint right there by the stream. And so she runs and she runs till she can't breathe, deep into the forest of the ancient trees, to find a hiding place that's known to no one. But she never ever sleeps so sound again like before she saw the little footprint, and she wonders now about the end of everything. Bigfoot sleeps in the undergrowth. Don't drive a car, don't burn no coal. Lives on the land, don't turn the soil. Oh, she don't leave no dents, just a few footprints. She don't leave no dents, just a few footprints. The Disappearance of Bigfoot. Thank you. All right, I guess I have about one more song. Significant look. It's a little code we worked out. You probably didn't pick up on it, but it's showbiz talk. Well, speaking of showbiz, I've spent most of my life playing music, most of my life making a living playing music, and it's great. It's a lot of fun to be in the creative field. I love artists, creative people of all kinds. You know, poets, painters, writers, musicians, actors. We all have something in common, some weird thing that makes us choose to spend a lot of time doing this thing that, you know, depending on what you're doing and when you're doing it, nobody might really care. And but it's great. I love creative people, and I'm so lucky to know tons of them and some really, really special, brilliant ones. And I wrote this song for all of my poet friends. I think of them all as poets. And it's for you too, if you're creative or somebody creative in your life. It's it can be a funny life sometimes. There's a great quote. There's a jazz guitar player named Mike Stern, and somebody asked, he said, when people come up to him, younger people, tell him they want to play music for a living because they love music so much, he always says, well, don't, if you want to do it just because you love music, don't do it, because it's a really hard life. It's a hard way to make a living. It's really tough. He said, but if you can't stand to do anything else, it's not that bad. So, this one's called Poet's Life. Sometimes I feel, sometimes I don't. I couldn't tell you why. It's hard to measure pleasure or an itch. It's like a switch inside. I'm out in my car and I'm driving around. So many signs and faces. Life is like a puzzle with too many pieces. Love is like an oasis. Some days I can't get up. Some days I can't quit. Maybe some kind of genius, maybe an idiot. It's never black or white. It's just a poet's life. Never wrong or right. It's just a poet's life. I see little lights and I hear these songs. Sometimes when I'm distracted, there's so much beauty in this quicksand world, but we're just sinking faster. I love everybody, but I love you more. I hope they understand. Oh, I know there's hate, but I just don't get it. Why does hate play a hand? Sometimes I float away. Sometimes I'm stuck on the ground. It could be night or day. Oh, it could be happening now. It's never black or white. It's just a poet's life. Never wrong or right. It's just a poet's life. Dearly beloved, would you gather near within this odd dimension? I'll sing you a song that's sad but clear, if we can just pay attention. Oh, I've got my own times and places, and you could be there too. I make my own outer spaces. I don't know why, do you? I'm going way too high. Who knows what's down below? stuck in overdrive, wish I could just let go. It's never black or white, it's just a poet's life, never wrong or right. It's just a poet's life. It's just a poet's life. It's just a poet's life. All right, a poet's life. How about a hand for everybody here at Two-Way Street for making this possible for 55 years? She doesn't even look 55. It's incredible.
That's wonderful. Let's give a big round of applause for Jason. We're going to come back for a second set, but first we're going to take a short break for about 15 minutes or so. Jason brought some CDs. Tell everybody about your CDs.
They're CDs.
They're there.
And they're over here on the piano. If you have a CD player, I've got CDs. I feel like that sums it up pretty good.
I mean,
oh, and they're good.
got it. So check them out. They're over here. The bathrooms are down the hall and on the left. So you can refill your snacks. In case you didn't know, we just brewed some fresh coffee.
Nice.
So we're all set with that. So about 15 minutes or so, we'll be back.
I missed the boat. What was this about cappuccinos? They actually make cappuccinos? I didn't realize that. Did you read the ring of someone's phone? Oh, maybe I wasn't paying close attention. I didn't hear it.
I did. I just thought it was funny that he did that. I don't think he would have done it.
He has a good sense of humor.
Yeah, he's very in the moment, I think. He's really
Yeah.
His songs and his voice.
Oh, yeah.
I would think. I think that's
One of the things that I think he likes is that he enunciates so well.
I think
And I think part of it is not just being deliberate about it, as Jennifer is.
well, if you listen to what Tom says,
Perhaps you know also if you've heard it.
I can check.
But, and then I think part of it is voice. You know, some people, their voice just
Well, we don't know. Every place is
well, but
different.
being able to
Right.
enunciate.
Yeah, because that's something we have to check. We go to everybody's space and everything. It's a nice venue, but half of the shows we want to sell around and they can see in the room. But and we miss some shows that way, but you can contact them and say, my wife was and right. But I mean,
So in other words, people need to work harder.
so we contact them. Well, we did it for Bruce Carl.
Yeah, a lot of
We
times
said we want to
I
go.
can only understand maybe half of the
My
words.
wife can't
You know,
stand the show.
I mean, I enjoy the music, which is the basic thing. I mean, like you might enjoy a French song or whatever, and I don't. Excuse me. I hope your hands were recovered.
It has. Thank you. I'm sorry. I have to be so careful because I actually was playing here on June 7th last year. It was just me. And I had just undergone, my stepdad had died. It was just a horrible time. Anyhow, but I did my set. And then the next day I was at the hideout and I had a fall and I broke my wrist. And I had a brace
you
on
broke
from-
it, not
I-
just sprained it.
I broke it.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I was at a show a few months later and some guy squished my hand and I was like, ah. So I'm just right now, like, just trying to not shake hands because I just got to be safe.
You know, you ought to do like a doctor of mine did. You know, that is, he now shakes hands with me now that COVID's over.
much are they? I think we should. Oh, well, that's true. It's not like there's going to be a big sale. That sounds good. That's what I was talking about. No, I'm talking about those two, because it's closer to the sun. That'll be a busy weekend, but it won't be the first time. I know. And we would get a hotel. If it's a 3-hour drive, that's a late train. Is that a football game? Is that Iowa City? That's where I went. Is that Ames? Right. Okay. Well, the idea is too, I see these that aren't watched. He's about 8. And that one CD, the one in the middle, I think he's got about 5 songs. Because that's the most current one. Because he did Time Traveler, he did Poet's Life. That's fine. So is Sue coming up tonight? Oh. Did she have a place to park alone? So we go to the Foxtown Photo Festival this year, maybe that weekend. That would be a fun thing for you to do. It's on. It used to be on the island in the what river is it? Fox River makes sense. No, it was in like Geneva. But a couple of years ago, about half the time they had it on the island of the river, either the island was underwater or it had been underwater, so you couldn't. So they moved it to a park a little bit north of there, and we go to one day out of two, but it's so good. It's relatively obscure people, but we love it. So that might be something for you to think about. Well, you don't have to pay for it, but they like people to contribute, and I don't know how old you are, but we're old enough that we get to sticky discount. And if you want $25 and you got 15, and like that's better, and it's fun. We usually go to one. No, Geneva.
When I make it,
And we only go one day out to it, and it's like, if you wonder if there's any hippies left in town, there's people with long hair, and I mean,
I've been wrong about things, but not about the cappuccinos.
it's an open crowd, but it's really, I
They
mean,
don't
we saw like
exist.
stop there before he fails to. At the Fox Valley Food Festival.
Yeah.
Andrew Kelly. Yeah, just, yeah. So like you said,
Oh, you'd laugh at me. I broke down. I bought an iPhone. Yeah, I was an ardent Android fan. I'd had an iPhone, a couple different ones.
and there was an ad, it was being running by about the bicycle.
And I didn't really care for
Because I
it
think
because
he's gonna have it, because it was about 50-50.
it just seemed awkward, and the few pictures I took on the darn thing, I struggled to get them off when I retired. And I didn't use it for personal stuff. And so I was out, as I said, for 3 weeks seeing my son and his family. And he looked at my phone, and I don't know why he did this, but then turns out my software had been updated for 2 years.
It's my obsession.
Which is just like asking for a virus. Anyway, so, and then I don't know if it was his phone or his wife's phone. I saw that they had this mass in a folder of kids and family pictures, and I thought, I'm missing out. And that was enough. And what was a second shock to me is how much I squatted off on that. I realized that there were tears, and I went to the far end. I was kind of shocked by myself.
I kept David's phone charged and stuff on there.
What did he use?
Oh, it says it's in Island Park. But I don't know.
Do you think they're evil?
I have no idea.
Well, I still use my Android phone, but obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but it no longer has a cell phone connection. But of course, at home, it's got an internet connection. And so, I can use it for a variety of things. You'd laugh. One of the key things I use the phone for is to get the correct spelling, because my spoken vocabulary is probably 5 or 10 times better than my written. Yes, so it looks like there was no outside damage through to your wrist or hand.
My stepdad fell on the anniversary of my dad's death. He died. I saw my foot check, and the next thing you know, it was just like down like this. And I was just down, and I was there, and I went back to the hideout with Rob and so they're helping me ice my injuries, and then I turned around and everybody came overwhelmed. And so when I turned around, I'm not sure, and that was the last thing I knew.
Fix up the
Where you are? That's so stupid. Other people started asking me to and then what and then Jenny and Robin
Oh, that's right.
But
Has the return of You didn't see it. Yes, can we help you? You taking our order? I'd like a pizza with... No intro.
Are you right-handed?
So as far as the phone goes, it's like the best possible of all phones, because it was my right hand so I could do everything, and except for the special things, and I haven't
Trying to get the list of people that are playing. Because I've seen it. Box Monday Folk Festival. Oh, now it says it's at Wheeler Park, but it's not on the island anymore.
You did, but I just hang up.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's what That's what I'm checking for. I don't know if they are.
I'm sorry.
Maybe, maybe when somebody comes at you, you do I got it with this doctor. You probably didn't hear that, but he now shakes the hand. But for, I don't know, probably at least the first 3 visits, he was fist bumping. Yeah, people will get it. Yeah.
They tell stories.
It seems eerie thinking that David Audit is just about to walk in or something. With you sitting there, and I should be here.
We'll have to make sure we go the same day.
I could have been, but this is my go-to table, though. Yeah, unless somebody has had the temerity to, one of the problems is, a lot of you have posses, and the posses sometimes get here and grab the table.
This is like in Indiana, but actually we saw John.
Was that the case the first time?
Well, it was nothing to John. It was never really a play. It was like John Prine song.
Yeah, I no doubt I introduced myself one way or another.
It's one of the performers to the other. Oh yeah. Is she being his on with Tamika?
You need to speak up over all of them.
If it's Sheryl?
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll have to coordinate to make sure. You just walk up and they give you the program and you give them suggested donation.
What was the there was a music hall that they were giving like a snippet of
Oh, yes. They have food trucks, and you can buy the big tent for.
it was over at the studio.
And they also have like, don't they have jewelry and bumper stickers? Yeah. But it's fun. Now, weather's got to be good. One year, we showed up late and we made it for about an hour, and then it poured and they canceled. We hung out underneath the structure. Yeah, that was horrible.
Well, he's using the time well.
So he's down in Bloomington now. Is that where he lives? I didn't quite get that. So that's where he's settled. He was joking about it, but I didn't get. But I was a little bit amused when he said he was from northern Indiana. maybe that is impolite to suggest that.
He said he lives there now. You know, there's a university down there. Not a bad place.
Poor Gary has suffered. One of the things that I was surprised about, and I was just looking at the phone and there was a picture of this house that's for sale up in the
Every
Bronx
part is half a mile
for
north.
$6.5 million.
So it's something like
John Prine.
Okay, everybody, we're going to get started with a second set here from Jason in a minute. But I wanted to tell you about some of the wonderful things that we have coming up at the Two-Way Street Coffee House. First and foremost, our congratulations go to our friends and partners at the Plank Road Folk Music Society. They are celebrating their 40th anniversary. Tomorrow, here, there's going to be, it's free events. There's going to be a sing-around, an old-time jam, and a country western jam. And then the ticketed event is going to be a dinner and concert. It's Mark Dvorak. So tomorrow night, back here, you know you want to be. It's $10 for a member and $20 for a non-member. So congratulations to them on 40 years. Next week, we're going to have a barn dance on the 21st, celebrating the Two-Way Street's 55 years. It technically happens in November. Yeah, so we're hoping the weather cooperates. We're going to have it outside. So if not, it'll be in the big room down here where they normally are held. So we would love to have you come out and celebrate. It's a family-friendly, free event, so please come to that. On your tables, there are a whole bunch of flyers that talk about our upcoming events. There's individual events, and then on the back you can find our monthly calendar. We have the barn dance, and then at the end of June, aside from our Friday night concerts, we're having a matinee, June 29th at 3 p.m. All the donations go to support this coffee house. So it's going to be Mark Dvorak playing, Ashley and Simpson, and we have the Woodshop Boys and Jack Kennedy for June 29th. There's going to be another one in October at 3 p.m. if you missed this one. The other thing that I wanted to mention, we have a open mic coming up on July 11th. There's going to be no concert on July 4th because, you know, it's July 4th. I won't be here. And then the last thing that I want to say is we are bringing back our last Thursday open mic. This was something before the pandemic that we're just now getting around to bringing back, and we're super thrilled. This is for high school and college-aged performers. We want to give them an opportunity. We know that lots of people have kind of come up playing at the open mic here. We love to give people an opportunity and a friendly, welcoming space to, you know, hone their craft. So please tell everybody that that's happening. We're going to start July 24th as our first one, and we'll do that each month through October. Out on the racks, you will see all kinds of flyers, and most notably, our friends at Acoustic Renaissance have just released their new season. So be sure to check that out and get your tickets. And I'm done talking. So thank you for your attention. I appreciate it. Let's welcome Jason for another set.
Hey, there it is. Okay. Oh, do you have this? There we go. Awesome. Just got a request for this song, and I'm going to start with it. And this is, I don't like Mondays, personally. I don't know about you. Do you like Mondays? Anybody? Some people do. That's okay. Well, you're wrong, but no, you're entitled to your opinion. But I'm advocating for eliminating Mondays. Actually, I think we should have a double Saturday every weekend. Have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then go straight to Tuesday. Thank you. And I feel so strongly about it that I wrote this song called "I'd Love Another Saturday Night." And I feel like I've written the song, which is obviously the hard part. And so I feel like somebody in government can now take up the cause. And because they're so effective, right? So anyway, I'd love another Saturday night. Almost done. I've been waiting since Monday or Tuesday at least for some fun. I think I see a little light at the end of the week. Whatever happened to the endless summer and all the time in the world? It's been alright. Oh, but I'd love another Saturday night. We were young. We speculated on the meaning of life and love. Rivers turn, rain in the mountains into waves on the rolling sea. Whatever happened to the endless summer and all the time in the world? Oh, it's been alright, but I'd love another Saturday night. Far away in a dream out there, beyond the weekend scene. Somewhere quiet, you can almost hear the world turn deep and low. Something's ticking like a big watch winding down. Whatever happened to the endless summer and all the time in the world? Oh, it's been alright, but I'd love another Saturday. Friday's finished, we can start unwinding. Saturday morning we're free. Sunday we'll be sorry to see you go. She'll have to wait a whole week. It's been alright. Oh, but I'd love another Saturday night. I'd love another Saturday night. All right, I'd love another Saturday night. Sure. I forgot the first chorus. I'm sorry. I haven't played that one in a while. And no one said anything. You're so polite. Oh, that is good. I switched to the lemon ginger. Oh, yeah. Slurring my speech now. Too much herbal tea. Let's see here. So, let's see. I don't really have a story about this song. I'm just going to play it. Step inside the darkness, we will welcome you. Warm and confidential, quiet and reverential. And even when there's no one to recognize the truth, step inside the darkness, we will welcome you. Come outside, the air is fine, the morning's new. Yesterday is washed away, rushing past and relegated. And though you will be doubted, questioned and rebuked, come outside, the morning's fine, the air is new. Climb the hill, you've got the will, the mountain waits. Distant and foreboding, treacherous and unknowing. Along the way your love may die, spirits rise into the sky. Climb the hill, you've got the will, the mountain waits. Move aside, tomorrow's pride is pushing through. Eyes highlighted, worries faded, colors bright and hair braided. Young and lovely souls are shining, fire cresting wide horizons. Step aside, tomorrow's pride is pushing through. Dust to dust, remember us, release yourself. Beside the water running, beyond and then becoming. Blessed and cursed and nothing worse, always seeking something. Dust to dust, remember us, release yourself. Dust to dust, remember us, release yourself. All right, dust to dust. Well, this next song has a Chicago connection. I wrote this song. I played with John Prine for many years. If you don't know, I worked with Chicago's own John Prine for many years, and thank you. I was his guitar player and later musical director for 24 years, and he was a wonderful man. He was just the greatest, hilarious, great boss, great friend. People sometimes ask me what he was like, and I had an idea of what he would be like from listening to his music, and his lyrics and everything before I got to know him. And that's pretty much what he's like. He's just a really good guy, very funny, and was. Actually, I'll tell you about the first time I met John. I was working in Bloomington. This is in my teens. I was 16 years old, maybe 16 or 17. And I was playing at a little club there in Bloomington called the Bluebird. Is that lady who goes to Bloomington still here? The Bluebird. You don't know it? You know it? Okay. All right. I had to get a woo or something, but anyway, it's this bar in Bloomington called the Bluebird that a lot of people in college go to. And anyway, I was playing there on a Friday night with my band at happy hour. And we stuck around to hear some friends of ours who had another band that was much better, and they were playing in the evening slot. We were just playing happy hour. And but it was great because these guys were older than me, and they usually let me hang around their gigs and get up and play a song or two with them. But unbeknownst to all of us, on this particular Friday night, a Friday night not unlike this one, there was a great songwriter in town named John Prine. And I think he was in town to work with John Mellencamp, who lives just outside of Bloomington, or he did back then. And so who comes into the Bluebird Tavern halfway through the night but John Prine, And so he comes back to the little dressing room there, and we're all in there, my friend's band, and I'm in there, and hanging around, and there's John Prine, and they start talking with him and, hanging around, and they talk him into getting up and playing some of his songs with the band. And so one of the guys in that band who sang and played guitar, he came over to me and he said, I don't really know what to play with this guy. He said, you're pretty good at following along with people. Why don't you get up and play with him? And I said, great, It's like, so incredible, So we did. We got up, we played a bunch of John Prine songs with John Prine, and it was an incredible thrill for me, at that age, 16 or 17, to be on stage with such a great musician. And John was so impressed with my guitar playing that evening that I didn't hear from him for 10 years. But about 10 years later, my phone rang. I was still in Bloomington. I was working at the university as an audio technician, and I was working at a guitar store, and I was playing some gigs here and there. And I got home one early winter evening. It was kind of dark, and I was in my kitchen in my little apartment cooking some ramen noodles on the stove there. And the phone rang, and this is, 30 years ago at this point, so the phone was on the wall, And so it rang, and I picked it up. I'm stirring my ramen noodles, and it was Al Bonetta, John Prine's manager, calling from Nashville, Tennessee, to ask if I would like to audition to play lead guitar for John Prine. And I turned off my ramen noodles, and I said, yes, I would. And so a couple months later, I did, and I got the job, and ended up working with him for 24 years. Yeah, so it's crazy. Yeah, thanks. And yeah, he was just, I mean, yeah, it's hard to put into words what a great guy John Prine was. But this song I want to play for you, one of the wonderful things about working with John is got to meet and work with all kinds of other wonderful artists, because we did 2 duets records, and John loved to do duets, so we did a lot of recording with female singers and all kinds of amazing artists. And you know, we did a lot of touring that way. Iris Dement, we did a lot of shows with Iris. She was a good buddy of ours. And so where this whole thing is going is the song I'm going to play for you. I was playing here in Chicago with Iris. Geez, it's probably been 25 years ago, 20 years ago. I don't even know how long. But in the afternoon before our show, I went to the Art Institute and looked at, you know, all the wonderful paintings. I love the Impressionist paintings, and I'm not a visual artist. I can, you know, have no drawing or anything kind of ability, but I love to look at paintings, and my sister and my mom are both very good visual artists, and so yeah, and so I think spending that afternoon in the Art Institute playing with Iris that night is what gave birth to this song, which I wrote in the hotel that evening after the show. And so this one's called Lazy Afternoon, but I think it's in a different key. If you don't play music, I will just tell you that it's not always obvious what key a song is in, and you can't always remember, so that's it. So. I love to watch the wind and the locust trees, and the way the sun feels so warm on me and on you too, and everyone who has come to sit out in this lazy afternoon. You swear you can smell those flowers bloom. I believe you can. I smell them too, and the grass so green. I mean, it really makes me feel so good. If I knew how I'd get some colors on a brush and set us all down on a big canvas right here, we could sit for a few hundred years out in this lazy afternoon. I see the sun is sliding farther away. I know she's gotta go make someone else's day sunny too. Somewhere far away, there's a town like this, with some boats on a shady little pond, and some blankets that are waiting to be spread out on a lawn, and some folks who will be happy to sit out in this lazy afternoon. You know it looks like it's gonna be a lazy evening too. All right, lazy afternoon. All right, I'll play you my other Park song, since you want to hear it, I guess. This is one I wrote, so spent many years on the road playing music, most of them with John Prine, but other people too. And you know, sometimes you get a day off on the road, but it's usually like in Tulsa or Cleveland, somewhere like that, which are just lovely places. But every once in a while, you get a day off in something like New York or London, and so this was a day off I had in London, England, and it was really great. I had been there before, but it's just one of the great cities of the world. So to have a whole day to yourself there to do anything you want is pretty fantastic. And so this particular day, I had kind of asked a few different people, like, what should I go see? And several people said, oh, if you've never been to the British Museum, you should go to the British Museum. Because, and I don't know how this stuff works, but for some reason, most of ancient Egypt is actually in the British Museum in London, England. So I thought that sounds pretty cool. So, maybe not so cool for Egypt, but good for me on my day off. So, and so I went over there and I took the tube, the subway, and I had to get off at a certain stop and walk a few blocks, to get to the museum. And this is early summer, actually about this time of year, maybe, a little earlier in June, but and it was just beautiful outside. And to get from the subway station to the museum, I had to walk through this little park called Russell Square. And it was just a gorgeous little place, and the sun was shining, and everyone was out there, just enjoying the day. And I really got waylaid there and just sat down on a bench and just soaked it up for a couple hours. And I got the idea for this song I'm going to play for you. And this is back before, smartphones or anything like that. So, or at least for me it was. And so I just had to go around the whole rest of the day singing this song to myself in my head so I wouldn't forget it until I could. This is what we used to do in the old days, but you probably remember the old days, so maybe is I would call my answering machine and I would sing the song into the answering machine. And so, but I had to get to a phone where I could call the U.S. from London to record my song. So anyway, that's what this one is called, Down in Russell Square. Sitting down in Russell Square, where the sun has come to brighten this June day, and the flowers sway, purple, red, and yellow, in gardens kept with care, down in Russell Square. And those who were just passing through find themselves upon the benches too, as toddlers smile and stagger laughing in the soft and gentle air, down in Russell Square. When you need some place to slip away from your worries and petty cares, try to fix your mind upon a day that you once spent dreaming somewhere, like on a quiet summer bench down in Russell Square. Bus brakes and the car horn sound just like an old calliope as they echo off the concrete, and I guess they might as well be, 'cause no one cares about them down in Russell Square. And in the cool grass here and there, couples talk or lie and quietly stare at the white clouds passing through a sea of tranquil blue. Oh, it must be love that floats so high above Russell Square. when you need some place to slip away from your worries and petty cares. Try to fix your mind upon a day that you once spent dreaming somewhere, like on a quiet summer bench down in Russell Square. Down in Russell Square. True story. Beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Let's see here. I got another request, but I'm gonna keep playing anyway. No. That's an old one. Sorry. I couldn't resist. Yeah. How does love survive? How does love get by? So many broken hearts and bitter memories. How does love survive? Or does it worry? Does it cry? Late at night when no one else can hear. You promise you'll be true when you do the things you do to make love grow into something strong and fine. Oh, but you turn up lots of stones when you plow the lover's road. It's no surprise the sun doesn't always shine. How does love survive? How does love get by? So many broken hearts and bitter memories. How does love survive? Or does it worry? Does it cry? Late at night when no one else can hear. Down a river of tears, out into an ocean of sorrow, where 1,000 valentines drift out with the tide, from the rocks where lovers leave their hearts behind. How does love survive? How does love get by? So many broken hearts and bitter memories. How does love survive? Does it worry? Does it cry? Late at night when no one else can hear. Late at night when no one else can hear. How does love survive? So when I was about 9 years old or so, I think the age, I think it was 9, 10, 8, somewhere in there. I went to the carnival with my dad Thank you. You knew my dad? Yeah. All right. Crazy. Small world. But, and this is in the 70s. You know, I'm 55, so I was in the 70s at this time, and this was down in southern Indiana somewhere. Both my parents are from Bruceville, Indiana, which is near Vincennes. I'm sure you know it. But, and so it might have been down there somewhere. I don't remember where this carnival was, but my dad and I went to this carnival, and it was, you know, sort of typical. But this is back when they still had some of the freak show kind of stuff there. It was not, you know, I mean, obviously it wasn't PC then either, but, like, people didn't know. So, so we were going down the Midway there, past all the games and the tents and everything, and we came up to this little trailer that had a painting on the side of it, and the painting was of a giant hand, and sitting in the hand was a little man with a top hat and a tuxedo with the tails and a cane, and I think he might have even had a monocle and had this big smile on his face, and there was a speaker bolted to the side of this trailer that had like a pre-recorded announcement with some circus music in the background playing, and it said something like, "See little Eddie Small, smallest man in the world. He walks, he talks. Hold him in the palm of your hand." And so, you know, as a kid, that last part is really what captured my attention, was the thought of holding the smallest man in the world in the palm of my hand. So I was pretty excited about this, and immediately asked my dad for $1 so I could go get in and see little Eddie Small. And my dad, you know, kind of reluctantly forked over $1, and I was really excited, and I just had this, you know, how kids are, at least I had a huge imagination as a kid, and I just immediately thought of, like, we're probably going to be best friends, you know, and I could only imagine how glamorous being the smallest man in the world was. Like, I imagined he's, like, meeting with heads of state, he probably knows the Queen of England, you know, like, he probably rides around in a camel. I don't know what you do, but it seemed pretty incredible. And I thought, what are the odds that he is at this little carnival in southern Indiana and I'm about to meet him, you know? And so, but a couple things struck me as odd at this moment when I'm having this, you know, just explosion of all the great things that are about to happen in my life. And my dad's giving me the $1, and I'm thinking a couple little weird things. I thought, like, one was that my dad didn't want to pay another $1 so that he could also see the smallest man in the world. In typical dad fashion, he said, "No, you can just tell me about him." And the second thing was that there was no line to see, which I thought, okay. So I paid up, and I went up the little curtain into this little trailer room. And sitting there behind a kind of a old red velvet rope under a little spotlight on a stool, drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon from a can, sat little Eddie Small, the smallest man in the world. And there was no other paying customers in there. And so I went right up to the rope. I wanted to get as close to him as I possibly could. And I was so, you know, I'd been so excited about this. And I just, as I said, I'd imagined that we'd hit it off right away, probably have stuff in common, you know, and get to be buddies. But once I got in there, I couldn't think of a single thing to say. And he didn't seem to have anything to say to me. You know, hold him in the hand seemed entirely out of the question, and so I didn't even bring that up. I think his tuxedo was at the cleaners that day because he had kind of a dirty powder blue leisure suit on and a pretty good pile of those PBR cans going. And so I just stayed till I felt like I'd gotten my $1 worth and went on with my life. But many years later, I was writing a song about a woman in a carnival, and who do I bump into halfway through my song there on the page but my old friend, little Eddie Small. So he makes a cameo in here. You'll see him. You'll recognize him. The song is not about him, but I just wanted to share that with you. So this one's called The Ballad of Amazing Grace and Sideshow Dan. Amazing Grace was a carnival queen, though she never was rich or famous. She traveled the land with Sideshow Dan and his true life freaks of nature. They say that Grace had a giant brain, her IQ was 150. She had tattooed over every inch of her skin, and man, she sure was pretty. She could lift a man with either hand and twirl one in her teeth. Or she could bend her back like an acrobat and juggle with her bare feet. Amazing Grace, how sweet she was. Now Sideshow Dan was a hog of a man, and he was crooked as the funhouse stairs. So everyone smiled when he whispered lies about his secret love affairs. Oh, you can bet that Dan was a happy man when Grace walked by his side. She had a face like an angel and a body like a building, and she laughed like a sideshow ride. Now Dan always promised to take his Grace to sunbathe in Tahiti, where she could lay naked as a jay and display that Technicolor body graffiti. Amazing Grace, how sweet she was. And Flying Paul, the Cannonball, and the Snake Man Johnny Hiss, Canine Roy, the dog-faced boy, and Mysterio, the mentalist. Well, Leon the Giant, little Eddie Small said they all thought Grace could have been the very first tattooed lady astronaut or U.S. president. Western Willie was really from Philly, and he couldn't even ride a horse. But he looked the part, and he could stop a girl's heart. He had the fastest trigger in the world. So late one night between the lion's cage and Marco's house of mirrors, Willie and Grace made a plan to shake the sawdust off of the heels. Grace wasn't content to live in a tent and roam from city to city. So she saddled up the midnight Greyhound bus and she rode away with Willie. Amazing Grace, man, she sure was gone. And when Dan asked Flying Paul, the Cannonball, and the Snake Man Johnny Hiss, a Canine Roy, the dog-faced boy, and Mysterio, the mentalist, well, Leon the Giant and little Eddie Small said they all hadn't seen a thing. And Gypsy Jill said she'd like to help, but her ball was on the blank. Well, Sideshow Dan still makes the rounds with the true life freaks of nature. And in every town he asks around, he's seen a tattooed lady. And he sits up late, all alone in his trailer behind the Midway, drinking whiskey and soda and staring at his faded Tahitian travel posters. Now the moral of the message is a lesson to learn from Sideshow Dan's big blunder. Don't take a girl for granted, 'cause you might be standing in the presence of a natural wonder. Amazing Grace, how sweet she was. And Flying Paul, the Cannonball, and the Snake Man Johnny Hiss, a Canine Roy, the dog-faced boy, and Mysterio, the mentalist. Well, Leon the Giant and little Eddie Small said they all thought Grace could have been the very first tattooed lady astronaut or U.S. president. Yeah, Leon looked high and Eddie looked low, and they agreed that she could have been the very first tattooed lady astronaut or U.S. president. All right, thank you. Significant look. Nice. See? Well, Both of these songs I'm going to play have kind of a story ahead of them. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. It would be. I kind of put you on the spot there, didn't I? Because what were you going to say? No, you gotta stop. No. Yeah. Thank you. You are very nice. I'm going to do one more here, and this is another one I wrote on the road. I was up in we're up in Canada, Eastern Canada, and we were doing a tour, John Prine band of Eastern Canada, the Maritimes, as they call it, and we love it out there. We went out there many times, and we were all the way out in St. John's, Newfoundland, and that's, you know, the island that's way out there in the North Atlantic. It's actually the easternmost point in North America is in Newfoundland, and so we were up there on tour. There's a great Canadian singer-songwriter named Jimmy Rankin who was on the tour with us, and we rolled into St. John's on I feel like maybe it was a Sunday night, and we had a long travel day that day, and we didn't have a show. We're going to play the following day, and so St. John's is an old harbor town, sits right on the North Atlantic there. To give you an idea of the climate, they sometimes will have an iceberg float into the harbor. And up on the edge of town, there's a big hill called the Signal Hill. There's a tall radio tower and a station up there. And that's where they received the first transatlantic wireless signal, actually. And it's also the station that received the distress call from the Titanic, because it went down up there. In the great St. George's Bank, that's where they have the big cod fishery, and so it's a big fishing culture up there. But we rolled into St. John's on this Sunday night, and it was cold. It was late in the year. It was rainy and windy, and you know, when you're right on the ocean like that up north, it can be pretty raw. But we walked out to dinner somewhere, and it was really good. And Jimmy Rankin came up during dinner. He said, "Hey, you know, since we don't have a show tonight, we should go hear this buddy of mine who's playing at a pub." And we thought, yeah, that'll be fun. So after dinner, we followed Jimmy through the winding, windy, rainy, steep streets of St. John's, and until we came to this street called Solomon's Lane. And we started trudging up this hill, and it was so steep, it was really more like it should have been a staircase, you know, instead of a sidewalk. But we got to this little place, this little door just in the wall, and I thought actually was the back door of some place, you know, but it was the front door of this little bar called the Ship Inn. And so we went in there, and it was crowded and smoky and dark and noisy, and we found a place to sit and got some pints, and after a few minutes, a couple guys got up on this little corner stage and started playing and singing, and about, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes later, I realized my mouth had been hanging open for about 20 minutes because it was some of the best music I'd ever heard. The crowd crashed like waves over shots, over pints, as we sat struck dumb with surprise. To quote my hero Joe, a radiance did show, but the din didn't ever subside. It was like watching Picasso, Monet or Renoir, sketching out his world with a voice and guitar. My God, how good must you be, said the man next to me, before folks might just listen a while. He played and he sang, simple and plain, and outpoured a quiet masterpiece. By the cigarette machine on a dim corner stage, creak like a tired ship at sea. Now I don't even mean to judge or indict. It's not like this was Carnegie Hall. Well, I guess no one expects to witness genius as it hangs on a museum wall. And he sang simple and plain, and outpoured a quiet masterpiece by the cigarette machine on a dim corner stage that creaked like a tired ship at sea. So if you're ever up that way, near old St. John's Bay, where the shadow of the Signal Hill lies, climb up Solomon's Lane to the door marked Ship Inn, and sit down and listen to Ron Hines. Thank you so much. Good night. My name's Jason Wilber. How about a big hand for Jennifer and everybody at Two-Way Street?
You took the words right out of my mouth.
All right.
We want to give a big round of applause for all of our volunteers here. For 55 years, we're an all-volunteer operation. We had Chris and Debbie doing the counter. Randy, fantastic with sound. Joel's holding up the door. My name is Jennifer, so thank you so much for coming. I don't know if you know this, Jason. He's like, what? Nobody, and I mean nobody.
Gets out alive.
Yeah, something like that. I meant nobody gets out of the Two-Way Street without an encore. Should we ask Jason to play one more?
Oh,
I mean, it's
I
rousing.
couldn't. I couldn't. No.
All right. Jason Wilber, everybody.
All right, one more. The postscript to that song, though, is Ron Hines was a real guy. I met him that night in St. John's, heard him play, just blew my mind. Really, really great singer-songwriter. And I walked home to the hotel that night and sat up late and wrote that song about him. And the next day I went out to the local record store and I bought all the Ron Hines records they had because he was pretty well known in Eastern Canada. And I actually got to know him over the years, and he was very flattered that I'd written that song about him. I put it on a record. Actually, it's on this record I have here, Lazy Afternoon. And later, a few years after that, I got to play a folk festival up in Nova Scotia that Ron was on, and they asked me to come out and play my song about him before his set. And he came out and he said, well, you know you're getting old when they start writing songs about you. So, he was a great, he's passed away unfortunately, but he was a great guy and made some really great records. If you want to check out his music, it's his last name is spelled Hynes, Ron Hines, and definitely worth checking out. He's got some really good stuff. So gosh, over the years playing with John Prine, one of my favorite things about that gig, of many, many favorite things, was that we played a lot of old theaters. We played a lot of these kind of 1,500, 2,000 seat theaters. And they were just great places. You know, they're great places to see a show, great places to perform, because they're big enough that there's a lot of energy, but they're small enough that it feels very intimate and you get a really good experience, you know. And a lot of these were old places from the, you know, some of them are left, like, built by the movie companies in the 20s and 30s, you know, they're Paramount and the Fox. A lot of them still have the old names of the companies, and some of them are even older than that, you know, from vaudeville and things like that. And I actually played a theater out in New England once. This wasn't with John, this was with Greg Brown, but it was a theater where Mark Twain had actually spoken on that stage, which is pretty crazy. And but they're just really cool places. And if you've never worked in an old theater, you might not know that one of the last things they do every night is they put this light out on stage. It's usually just a bare light bulb on a pole, and it's called the ghost light. And they do this because theater people are very superstitious, and it's considered bad luck to leave the stage dark overnight. And so late at night after our shows were over in these old places, you know, at midnight or 1 in the morning, we'd be head out the back door after everything was packed up. That ghost light sitting on stage sort of dimly lighting up the theater is always the last thing we'd see. And I really liked that image, and I wanted to write something about it, but I didn't have much more than I've told you, which is really not enough for a song, even with some oohs and ahs thrown in. So I just sort of let it, you know, rattle around in the back of my head for a few years. And one night I woke up and was laying in bed, kind of half asleep, half awake, and I realized I was singing to myself this Ghostlight song that I'd been wanting to write, and I had to wake up enough to get up out of bed and go record it or write it down, because I've learned over the years that one of the worst things you can think in the middle of the night as a songwriter anyway is, oh, this is so good I couldn't possibly forget it. So, because usually it's not, and you can. So, but this time I did wake myself up enough to go write it down, and I'm glad I did, because I really enjoy playing it. And another funny little note is that sometimes I would be the opening act for John Prine on tour, and this usually was when the real opening act didn't show up. So I was like the backup opening act, and so sometimes I'd be at the hotel before the show, maybe laying down, take a little nap, and the phone would ring, and it'd be the tour manager saying, "You gotta get up, you gotta get dressed, you gotta get over here. The opener didn't show up." And so it was great. I loved doing it, and it was always really fun to play for John's audiences, because they were there to hear songs, you know, and so it was a real pleasure. And so one particular night I did that. I don't remember who it was that didn't show up, but I opened the show, and then I went back, I changed into my suit and tie for John's set, and we were, John almost never saw the opener because he had this whole routine he did, and before the show, and he usually got there about 20 minutes before he went on, and the opener usually finished about a half an hour before he went on. So I had done my set, he didn't hear me play, but we were all dressed in our show clothes, and we were standing in the wings backstage, in the dark there, and I love backstage. It's very peaceful, it's quiet, very, there's those blue lights back there, so you can see, but it's very dark, and we were just standing back there watching people in the crowd get their seats, and it was kind of quiet, and the promoter walked by, and he goes, "Oh, hey, Jason, thanks for opening the show, and hey, I really like that Ghostlight song you played. I enjoyed that one." I said, "Oh, thanks, yeah, glad to do it." And he kept walking, and it was quiet for a second, and John said, he said, "You wrote a song about the Ghostlight?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I was going to do that." Yes! So, anyway, his probably would have been better, but... So, anyway, this will be my last one here. This one's called Ghostlight. If you ever wander down to the old part of town, there's a marquee that leans eyes to one side. In a box office window, cloudy and dark, in the lobby where an old usher hides. There the street may suddenly fall silent, and you might feel a faint tinge of fear. Where once stood a line just before curtain time, the sidewalk is quiet and clear. There's a ghost light keeping me up at night, out on that darkened stage. And I know it's here that I'm meant to appear, oh, but somehow I've lost my way. They say inside every night the old lights come on bright, places are taken off stage by a well-polished company consisting of those who don't know that they've passed away. The old house, it's standing room only, and these wings, they're bustling too, for it's known by all that any one curtain call may be the last one you hear. There's a ghost light keeping me up at night, out on that darkened stage. And I know it's here that I'm meant to appear, oh, but somehow I've lost my way. And a little known soul rings the box office toll in the oil of endless midnight, condemned to eternity, adding up numbers that never will come out quite right. Then a whisper slips through all the company and crew, met with joy and then melancholy, where the word has come down from the old man uptown, held over indefinitely. There's a ghost light keeping me up at night, out on that darkened stage. And I know it's here that I'm meant to appear, oh, but somehow I've lost my way. Hey, I've lost my way. Ghost Light. Thank you so much. I'm Jason Wilbur. Thank you for coming out. Thanks to 2A Street and all the volunteers and all you people on land and at sea on the internet there. So thanks. Take care.
All right, thank you. It worked. Yeah. I'm off of airplane mode.
Oh, I left mine in there, so.
If you don't mind waiting a moment, I'm going to go get